Okay, the fun of doing things live, trying to figure out which buttons are which, and I probably doubled music that, but welcome everyone to Vape Distortion. Tonight we're going to be covering a little bit about the importance of flavors for vaping. One of the reasons I decided to pick this topic is because there's a lot of, well, as vapers, we know how important flavor is to us. But for the smoker thinking about starting, for especially a lot of the politicians who are going through legislation, all they know is flavor appeals to the kids. That's all anybody keeps ranting on about. So what I want to try and do is just cover a little bit to clear up a few misconceptions. Again, vapors, we know that, for instance, my banana cream pie, my avalanche juice, my root beer. Flavors are important to vapors, and especially it helps keep us off the cigarettes, plain and simple. Now, most of the politicians will just hear, oh, well, all these flavors are appealing to kids and everything. They're trying to market to kids, get them addicted to all this nicotine so that they'll start vaping, and more they vape, they'll get more and more nicotine, and they'll love these candy flavors, these cotton candies. After all, adults don't like candy. Once you hit 18, you hate candy. You hate anything sweet. You hate anything with taste. Well, at least according to them. So they figure, hey, it appeals to kids. That's the whole purpose of it. And that isn't even remotely close. But nobody ever really talks about it or mentions it. So, there's a lot to cover, but just to give you a bit of an idea, what actually brought this up for me, and let me just pop it up here, is an article which just came out where the government of Canada's Prince Edward Island, they're approving a ban on the sale of flavored tobacco products. That's due to come into effect May of next year. Now, the ban is actually going to be taking effect in a number of provinces, but their whole thing is mainly switching to, or trying to ban the menthol cigarettes is the main thing. And that's a little, I realize that's a little small. Maybe I can get a little closer for you. But basically it says, Government of Canada's Prince Edward Island province has approved a ban on the sale of flavored tobacco products. That's due to come into effect beginning of May next year, according to a story by Campbell for CBC News. The new provincial regulations would ban the sale of tobacco products that contain any additives meant to give the product the aroma or taste of anything but tobacco. So actually it's not even just menthol. It'll be if you got cherry, vanilla, anything to even make it remotely sweet, honey, or better smelling. Their whole thing is the appeal factor. So we're extremely pleased that the province of PEI has approved a full ban of all flavored tobacco, including menthol. Yeah, and don't forget, in a lot of provinces in Canada and the US, a lot of the, well, actually all of the US now, vape products are classified or have been improperly reclassified as tobacco products. So when someone says that they've approved a full ban of all flavored tobacco, including menthol, it's a key strategy for reducing our smoking rates and protecting our children. There's the BS with the children again. And for protecting the health of the public, that's basically a crock. What it's going to end up doing is driving people right back to smoking. If the whole thing with vapors is one reason we don't go back to, and I don't even have my pack. Last video I actually brought out the pack I've had for 2 years. When I first started vaping, had a pack of cigarettes with me. Haven't had them since. Back up in the cupboard, locked away again. But I kept the packs just to for the sake of keeping the packs to show that, yeah, it doesn't appeal to me anymore. But that's what vapors are potentially going to be driven back to. If you don't have flavors, if all you can do is have a tobacco flavor, guess what? Most vapors, once they've actually picked up and made the switch over to vaping, tobacco lasts for the tobacco, like simulated tobacco ones, they probably do for the first while. Some people, it's actually all they want, and they just continue with very flavored simulated tobacco flavors. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But most vapors will actually move on to different flavors. Whether it's a candy, whether it's a juice, whether it's desserts, there are a whole range of flavor profiles. And it's because of these flavors that vapors don't go back to cigarettes or tobacco. Like, I'm talking about real tobacco, not what they pretend. I mean, hell, they call cotton is tobacco now. But just to give you an idea, here's a little pineapple, orange, banana. It's one of the ones I like using in one of my small devices. It's a nice, clean juice, and it gives me that nice, bright flavor. Like I said, you'll hear me pop this one up a lot, but there's my banana cream pie. And as you can see, I go through a lot of it. And I've got to get more soon. But again, banana cream pie is one of the dessert flavors I like. If people could only have a tobacco taste and nothing else, then sure, some people will make the move to vaping, and it'll sort of seem satisfactory, but it really doesn't have that appeal to keep them basically locked on away from smoking. And that's the main thing with flavors. And excuse me, sorry about that. That's the main thing with flavors. It keeps people vaping because here's what happens. When you first start vaping, seems okay, yeah, we have our tobacco flavors, and yeah, that'll do, stick with a little bit. But very quickly, within a few weeks, the weird thing is we actually start getting our taste buds back. And the reason I say weirdly is because, for myself, I smoked for 35 years, a pack and a half, almost 2 packs a day, strongest cigarettes I could find. They all tasted pretty much the same. I could taste very subtle differences between the tobaccos and so on, but cigarette was a cigarette. If I had to go with the light one, I went with the light one. Preferably, I like the really strong ones, but they're all one taste. My foods, I thought I was tasting my foods and so forth, but it was after about 2 or 3 weeks that I started realizing foods that I thought I liked were starting to get awfully strong tasting to me. And what had happened was, when you're smoking, your taste buds kind of seal up. They're getting the same flavor all the time, so they shut down. When you start vaping and you start getting different flavors, the pores start opening up again. Your breathing starts clearing up, and again, your nose actually provides a lot of the taste, which people don't realize, but yeah, you taste a lot through your nose. That's where you get the sense. For instance, like, okay, I've got my licorice, which I can taste in my mouth, and I get an exhale. A banana in this one. This is my monkey paw juice, which is a black licorice banana. It's one that I happen to like. So you start getting taste back. And when I first started vaping, I figured, well, vaping like grapes and strawberries and candy and liquor, I just want tobacco. I just want it to give me something that smells, tastes like tobacco, and hopefully that'll do it. That's all I cared about. I didn't see any point to all this other stuff. I mean, who the hell would want to vape root beer, I thought. So went on and made the switch over to vaping, and the tobacco was doing great for about a month, and then I just decided, well, This was back when they actually had sampling in the stores, where before the government kind of started restricting that. But went in and I decided, fine, they had the huge rack there. Let me try them, and then give me my tobacco, my simulated tobacco flavor. So went through and tried a grape one. I'm going, well, it's not bad. And then I got to a root beer, and I got to a candy cane, and I got to all kinds of stuff. Then I started getting into the desserts. I'm going like, okay, this is basically like going to a grocery store or eating a meal. And I hadn't realized that there would be an enjoyment from even fruits. Like I said, where is it? There's my root beer one, my root beer float. And I go through a lot of that. I've gone through quite a few bottles of that. And it's great because, as I've mentioned previously in other videos, I've been diagnosed pre-diabetic, so a lot of stuff are cut out for me. About 95% of the stuff I used to eat, I don't go through the cravings, so because, guess what? I've still got my flavors at least. So that's kind of an unexpected side benefit. But the thing is, I started trying different flavors, and I was surprised. So I figured, well, okay, pick up a couple of juices. Picked up let's see, the first things I picked up was cola. I picked up a banana and an orange. And later on I picked up a dessert about a week later. I quickly found that I wasn't quite enjoying the simulated tobacco vape very much. I mean, it was okay. It was like a cigarette, I guess. But I was discovering all these new flavors that before I couldn't really taste when I was smoking. And because of that, I decided, well, screw this. I don't want the simulated tobacco ones anymore. I shoved all of them aside, went back to the store, and I started trying everything they had. And they were getting in new stuff all the time. It was great. And so I started trying. Then I found some desserts. I found red hot cinnamon that I liked. And eventually, they brought in... this is one that not many people like. This is still an 18. By the way, most of my juices are zeros. I have my mint one, which is 6, mainly because they're out of 0. Normally, that was actually the first one that I'd had in 0 2 years ago, even when I was on the nicotine. This one is an 18 because it was being discontinued, and I loved it, and they weren't going to carry it anymore. It's Kilauea. It's cinnamon mint pastry vape, that very, very hot, spicy cinnamon, and I loved it. And they weren't going to have it in stock anymore, so I grabbed all the stock that I could, and that's why I still have about, I think I have 1.5 bottles left. And even though it's 18, I'll usually vape it in something like that, or even when I throw a glass tube on here. It's great. Like I said, most of my juices are 0 nicotine, but whether it's an 18 or a 6, I'll have them in a small device once in a while, and that way it doesn't really bother me. But most of the time I just stick with the zeros. Anyhow, so I fell in love with the cinnamon. I fell in love with the grapes and the apples. As a matter of fact, here's a mixture. Grape, 2 different grapes. There's 2 different apples in there. There's a bit of cotton candy to give the grape a bubblegum taste, and just a little bit of a cool mint. It's a custom blend I had made for me, and I love it. So the simulated tobacco flavors, they tasted like, well, I guess they taste okay. It's just they have no appeal to me anymore. And it was because of flavors that I really dread. I know eventually someone is probably going to put a challenge to me and say, okay, I want you to try a real cigarette, see if it still tastes the same. I'm dreading that day because I know it's going to taste like absolute crap. But not only that, but I really don't like even simulated tobacco tastes anymore. I like my pastries, my juice, my tiger tail ice cream, my black licorice and strawberries. I mean, I even have my own do-it-yourself, the peaches and cream. I've got my extreme ice for the sharp mint. I've got white chocolates. I've got strawberry cream. Why would a vapor want to go back to smoking? And that's what people don't understand. It's not just a case of flavors for the sake of flavors. If somebody likes a cereal flavor, they aren't getting it because it's being made for kids. No, it's being made for adults. Guess what? One of my favorite cereals that unfortunately I can't have anymore is Fruit Loops. I don't even use milk in it. I just eat it straight from the box. And I can't anymore, but every once in a while I'll grab something that's very similar to a Fruit Loop cereal or another cereal that I enjoy. For my candies, where is it here? Here it is. I always have, and that's actually what's in this one right now, is my candy cane. It's just enough for me to go get rid of the sweet craving. And yeah, I'm an adult. Guess what? I'm in my late 50s and I like candy cane. I was a big junk foodaholic. Toffees, whatever. I had to have it. Now, if none of these flavors were there, if all they had were the simulated tobacco, would I still be vaping? Hopefully. I'm not going to say that I wouldn't, because I did feel better, and it worked out cheaper, and it was doing the job for me, and it was a hell of a lot easier than carrying lighters and everything else. I didn't have the smell of smoke. My clothes didn't smell like smoke. My wife is very hypersensitive to any sort of scents. And so I used to always go outside, even if it was a blizzard, I'd go outside and have my cigarette, and I don't have to anymore. I can actually vape indoors, and actually she'll even request flavors now. So would I still be vaping? I hope I would be, because there is a big difference even with that. And it did get me off the cigarettes pretty quickly. But would I stick with it? As much as I hope, I really don't know. I mean, you can kind of get tired of the flavor, because once his taste buds start opening again, you start tasting food, you start wanting more. So there'd be a chance, more of a chance for a relapse back to smoking if the only flavor available was a simulated tobacco. And let me just see if I got them up here. Just to give you a little bit of an idea. So there are different types. There's like the 24 milligrams, the 18s. There are different types and different flavors of simulated tobacco. Some of them will put in spices, some will put in other things. You can get a menthol, like that one. You can even get your little cigar types. And so there are a lot to actually choose from. So you could switch back and forth, but it's still going to be the simulated tobacco. So it's, if that's all you ever vape, and that's the only thing there ever was, you might lose interest and go, well, occasionally I'll just have a real cigarette. And so you end up going right back, because it's not really the nicotine in the cigarettes that is addictive as everyone thinks. It's, as a matter of fact, the studies, if you go through the tobacco records, all their memos, they were finding that, yes, tobacco in the strengths and the type that they were using, it was pretty raw, so it was having a good addictive effect. But they needed all the other chemicals in there to add some weight to it and basically give it a boost. And that's why the tobacco and cigarettes are addictive. The nicotine is getting a hell of a boost. Now, the liquid nicotine in e-juices are actually quite diluted in comparison, which is why it never really fit with Health Canada's 4 milligrams per dose minimum to fit within their criteria or their jurisdiction. We didn't even remotely come close to it. And now with the advent of improvements of new devices, like going from, well, here it is. Here's the kind you get in the gas station. Just, that's an e-cig, electronic cigarette. Then you get into Second generation, that becomes vaping with your tanks, your refillable juices. Then you start getting into third generation devices. You start getting into fourth generation devices and more power. You start getting into temperature control, fifth generation type. They've improved a lot. So now, for instance, that 18 milligram that I had, which I had actually started on 24 in my first tobacco simulated flavored one. Next bottle went to an 18. Then I was on 18 for quite a while before I even dropped to a 12. But that was an 18. That, yeah, I can still vape in this. There's no way in hell I can vape in that. It would be like kicking my ass right to the ground. And that's the thing with improvement and the technology. And this is something the FDA in the States has blocked. Luckily in Canada, we can still bring out new devices, new products. In the States, they won't even let you improve on anything. And where the improvement makes a difference is in a device like this, you really don't, like I said, I like zeros, but you really don't want to go more than either a 1.3 or a 6 nicotine. It's just, it's hard on the throat. It's not so much the impact of getting overdose of nicotine. It's just, it's really hard on the throat. And that's what most people use the nicotine for, is if, like, when you're going, you're just trying to get the old smoking sensation of where we're drawing actually something into the mouth and where you could feel it in your neck. And that's why people go into a slightly higher nicotine. They go, well, yeah, I want a bit more kick to it. They might go up a little level, but in the newer devices, you really don't go above a 6 milligram level. Now, that's not 6 milligrams of nicotine. It's in e-juices, it's a percentage. So, for instance, an 18 milligram juice is 1.8% per milliliter. Whereas what's often referred to by the government and in, a teaspoon of the nicotine will kill you. Well, yeah, if you're if you're going through the raw nicotine, you're damn right that would. I mean, that stuff in large quantities can be very, very hazardous to the health. Even juice makers are very careful when they're dealing with nicotine. But the liquid nicotine that goes into the e-juices, first of all, they're diluted down. So that's why even whether I use an 18 milligram or whether it's 24 milligram, once it gets diluted further when it goes into the actual e-juice, you can't even remotely come close to the 4 milligram level Health Canada set as a standard. But that's their big play is, oh, nicotine's going to do it. No, it's all the crap in the cigarettes that boosts it. That's where the addiction comes in. So they start saying, and that's why all these kid flavors are being made. Because they want to market to kids, get these kids addicted to the nicotine, get them to switch over to smoking. I'm going to say this in almost every single damn video. Biggest way to disprove the whole gateway, and I'm going to cover a lot of this next week especially, but think of it this way. Delicious banana cream pie. It tastes so good, I want to lick a dirty ashtray. And that's basically what the hell they're saying a gateway is. When you've got the flavors, you don't want to go back to that grungy taste. You can see online a lot of vapors have actually tried, like, well, yeah, I decided to try a cigarette about 3 months later and I almost gagged. The thing tasted horrendous. When we smoked, they seemed to taste good. We enjoyed the taste. They actually had a taste. Until we started vaping, we got our taste buds back. Then we started finding out that, oh, damn, we've been missing a lot. That's why vapors are constantly looking for, whether it's a cereal, whether there's something sweet, something sour, something spicy, something mellow. Sometimes, like I said, the Avalanche that I use is sort of like a cool mint not quite a menthol, but very similar to it. Just cleans my palate. I've got some juice which only has vegetable glycerin and propylene glycol, VG and PG. I don't even have flavor or nicotine in it. Again, that just cleanses the tongue, brings back the taste buds. But I can pick and choose. If I'm in the mood for peaches, I don't have to worry about whether they're in season or not. I've at least got some. When I go to the store and I can get some real peaches, great. But in the meantime, if I feel like changing my flavors, I can go from a dessert. I can go to my root beer float. I can go from there into my candy cane. I've got black cherry. I've got vanilla bean. I've got sweet strawberries. I mean, flavors are what keep vapers from going back to smoking. Now, the big thing is flavors are appealing to kids. We must protect the kids. Very recently, if you want to know, first of all, the vape industry doesn't want the kids. They're marketing to smokers. We're hoping smokers become ex-smokers. No, these aren't actual smoking cessation devices, but it happens to be the side effect. If you want to find out if they're effective, take a poll. How many vapers used to smoke? Or if they still do both, if they smoke and they vape simultaneously, like split, have they cut down their smoking? And you'll find yes. Very, very small percentage are even non-smokers, and even they'll usually just go with something like a zero nic, and very rarely, most of the time it's not a daily thing for them. The market is smokers. Now, yeah, the kids are gonna get a hold of them, and here's where we run into a bit of problem, and I'll cover more of this next week, but to keep it short, yes, kids are gonna get a hold of it. At least they're getting off cigarettes. Personally, the vape industry would rather they not even be involved with vaping whatsoever. In all honesty, it's a personal thing. I'd rather see somebody vaping than go through what any smokers did trying to quit from being addicted to cigarettes. Because at least hopefully vaping, they might try once in a while, then cut back, or they'll do their little vape tricks and so on and their buddies and then just set it aside. You get some who like it or whatever. Unfortunately, we can't stop them as an industry. It's not our market. Now, when I say it's not our market, there are idiot fly-by-night asses who they're appealing to adults because adults still we like cartoons. Excuse me. Myself, I love anime. I love Pokemon. I love the Flintstones, and they used to do cigarette commercials. But to give you an idea, this was a recent one. Some freaking idiot from Malaysia thought it'd be cute to, hey, let's steal the Pokemon IP, intellectual property, and market it as juice. Well, the juice, yes, it's going into vape shops. So kids aren't allowed into vape shops. So the adults are buying it, but the industry does not want them to because, first of all, you don't rip off somebody's intellectual property. I've seen idiots trying to pass off that, oh yeah, we got permission from Elvis Presley's estate and from Jimi Hendrix's estate to sell their juices, and oh, we've got our Fruit Loop brands and so on, and oh, we have Captain It's not the way to frickin' do business. But anyhow, so you get the stupid goddamn, and pardon the language, but yeah, you get this idiot from Malaysia who decides to sell the juice, and he's not the first one. So don't think it's it's the first, but it just makes no sense. And what it does is gives the industry a really, really bad name. And it's gotten coverage on the vape industry because guess what? It's gone across social media, and the shops carrying that are getting ripped to pieces and blasted right to hell by vapers, not by the anti-smoking groups or anything else. The vapers want these off the shelves. Because guess what? Some kid ends up with it. They're going to start spreading around. It doesn't do our industry any good. We don't want it out there. People, get your goddamn marketing together. You don't need to do this. Yes, adults like collecting things too. But have some friggin' brains. This just hurts the industry. But now, when we get back to flavors, there's a lot of things they're saying, oh, the kids. That will be coming next week. One thing they tend to forget, though, they're saying we have to ban all these flavors to get so people don't smoke. Well, first of all, if you get rid of the flavors, there's a good chance a good percentage of vapors, early vapors, would go right back to smoking or continue smoking. And so you're still going to have them smoking. If you get rid of these, the kids, they're just going to go, well, I can either have this or that, and hell, it's easier. I'll just grab a pack of smokes, and it's going to be taste the same thing, and they're going to go that way instead of having to worry about refilling tanks, checking batteries, doing whatever. You're going to have a rise in kid smoking as well. The flavors keep vapors off the smoking. So, if you're so damn interested in why the hell should vape or tobacco have flavors? Like, why should vape juices be in different flavors if it's going to appeal to the kids? Because the government keeps pushing. These flavors are being made to appeal to the kids. So I guess that would kind of be like these 3 Olives Loopy vodka, which is Fruit Loop flavored vodka. Or here we have Sugar Crush, another alcohol vodka made to taste like a Crush soda. There are people infusing alcohol in gummy bears. As a matter of fact, where is it? Authorities in Alabama are warning parents to fully inspect Halloween candy after a video on YouTube has emerged showing how some candy types soak up alcohol, especially gummy bears apparently soak it up extremely well. They fear any candy tampered may get into the wrong hands. And apparently the candy does get pretty potent. So gummy bears, real gummy bears, aren't safe. Southern Comfort. Okay, here we go. It's 35% alcohol, sweet as cotton candy, dirt cheap, and extremely popular with high school kids. Gee. Kids. But vaping is the danger. Alcohol's fine, but vaping is the danger. Okay. Here's a nutritionist review. What are they reviewing? Hard Luck Candy Vodka Review. And let me move this over a little bit here. It goes, Hard Luck Candy Vodka is an alcohol that comes in fun flavors. Yeah, fun flavors. Yeah, there we go. I like to have an occasional drink on Friday or Saturday, and I was excited to try these unique flavors of vodka. I was sent with root beer, lemon drop, redfish, and orange cream. So, again, candy flavored alcohol. That's fine. We know kids would never, ever drink. Yeah, right. They're going to get their hands on it. You got these candy flavors, but there's no complaint about that. Another one, the Candy Skull story. This one is for Mexico's festivities, but check it out. To encourage their loved ones' souls to return, people offer their favorite foods and drinks on decorative graves and altars. Okay. It's a festival drink. It's a celebratory drink. It's liquor. But at least they have a theme. One problem. You shouldn't be surprised to hear that alcohol and candy are the 2 most common offerings at Dia de Muertos. And I know I probably screwed up the pronunciation, but Day of the Dead. Yeah, so you have all these candy-flavored alcohols. Again, no complaints about that. It's alcohol, and kids don't go near alcohol, so... Go another one. Here we are. Cotton candy alcohol. So yeah, cotton candy is an alcohol as well. Here we are. Cotton candy, more alcohol. Liqueur. This one gets really good. Okay, here we have a series of vodka. What do we have? Pinnacle Cake. It's baked vanilla and sweet buttercream, bold frosting confection. Okay, let's see what we got in here. We have spicy cinnamon with a sweet finish, a strong balance of cinnamon and cloves. Okay. And this is all alcohol, by the way. This is all vodka. Let's see. We have the rainbow sherbet. So we have balanced orange, lime, creamy berry. We have cinnamon rolls. We have hot peppers. We have cucumbers, pineapples, yada, 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 yada. One of the highest rated vodkas. Yeah, right. Here's where I had first started. Smooth light vanilla cream. Whipped cream tasting. You want coconut? There is coconut. You want orange juice? There is orange juice. There's your apple juice. There's strawberry. Candy apple. Well, luckily we know kids hate candy apple. You can't get a kid to eat a candy apple at a fair. I mean, you have to fight with them for that one. What do we got here? We have whipped chocolate. For chocolate milk, we have cookie dough. And here we have, the key lime pie. Now, let me scoop past. We have our pumpkin pie here. We have strawberry shortcake. If you want your coffee, there's your coffee. And cinnamon cake, caramel. Like I said, it goes on. And you want the killer, you say cotton candy in vape. Cotton candy in vape. Cotton candy in alcohol. Nobody complains. Nobody freaking complains about that. The kids go through more of that. And guess what? The vape might not really do much. They've already shown that over 80% are using zero nicotine. And very few of them are even daily users. We don't want them using it at all. But they're going to get their hands on it. Same with the alcohol. You go to the alcohol, and there's their cotton candy. Compare a cotton candy vape. Well, like I said, this is my candy cane, but pretend it's cotton candy. So that versus pretend that's alcohol. Getting plastered as cotton freaking candy. Now, the crazy part is, you'd think, fine, that's the alcohol. Well, let's go one more then. And here we go. I'm going to switch over here. This is adult vitamins, not kids' vitamins. Adult vitamins. They're fruit-flavored, bubblegum type vitamins. Now, a kid overdoses on those, they think, hey, this tastes like candy, this tastes like candy. They go through that bottle, you're going to have a sick kid there. Yet vitamins are perfectly fine. There are also actual, for adults, gummy bears in vitamins. They're shaped as real gummy bears. Kid gets those, again, they're going to go plow right through them. Now, let's get to all the nicotine replacement ones. Gee, they would never use flavor, would they? Here's Nicorette gum with your banana, strawberry, banana, orange, pineapple, so that it doesn't taste like crap. It tastes really good. Yeah. If it tastes like a chiclet or whatever kind of gum you have in your area, kid doesn't know it's got nicotine in it. They just say, hey, gum, choose it, and gonna get sick. Oh, but it's okay because it's approved. And here we have more. And we have more. All these fruit flavors. Yet vaping can't have fruit flavors, even though it keeps people off gum. But these can have it because they're approved, and because they're either Health Canada or FDA approved, it's okay for the adults to have it, and I guess it's okay if the kids do get their hands on it because it tastes good. Because that would be the adult's fault, not the product's fault. But so yeah, it needs it. They don't have menthols or anything like that, but well, I guess maybe. Yeah. So we have alcohol, which can do a hell of a lot more damage. You've got vitamins, you've got medicine, you've got cough syrup. OD on that stuff, because it's actually got alcohol in it too. You've got your nicotine replacement. Now, go to the pharmacy and look where they put these lozenges, gums, and patches at the pharmacy counter. They're right at ground level usually. You go to a convenience store, you see the chocolate bars and so forth on the shelf there, and you go through your rack and pick which one you want on the high and low. Go to the pharmacy, it's set up the same way. You've got your candies and you've got your lozenges, you've got your gums and everything are all on the rack right there. A 2-year-old level. A 2-year-old can wander by, see, candy, mommy, candy. Take it. And those have, the nicotine in there is stronger than the diluted nicotine in freaking e-juice. Much stronger. Yet everyone wants the flavors and nicotine band from e-juice. If you actually look, the ones who want it are the pharmaceutical companies. They stand to lose a lot if you don't keep getting their products. If you don't keep going to that and going from their 4, going down to their 2, and probably popping back and forth to smoking half a dozen times in between, it's going to be... people are going to go back to smoking. The nicotine replacement therapies only run about a 3 to 6, maybe 8%. They say 10 to 20. Give them their 20%. The vaping, because of all the flavors and people cutting down, they'll usually start at the 24 and 18. Most will cut down to a 12, and then you start getting into these newer devices, and you very quickly drop down to a 6 becomes strong on these. Most people use about a 3 milligram, and that's like a 0.3% per milliliter. It's got about a 70 to 80% effect rate for people switching. But they say we have to get rid of the flavors because people are going to smoke if they have all these flavors. It's because of the damn flavors that people aren't smoking. That's why vapers stop. And the politicians have to understand, when you're being told it's the kids, we have to protect the kids, or it's all these flavors are being made specifically for the kids. Bull. Adults, we like our flavors. We like our candy. When you hit 18, you don't stop liking your candy. We like something sweet. We like something spicy. We like something sour. We like variety. The flavors of juices for a vapor is like being a foodie. We all have different recipes, different brands that we like. A grape in one is not the same as the grape in a different one, is not the same as grape in a third brand. They're all mixed differently. And because of that, people will have different taste buds, different preferences, some people like desserts, some people like juices, some people like the candies, some people like the liquor tasting, some people like the simulated tobacco. Plain and simple. That variety keeps vapors from going back to smoking. And that's the main thing. So I don't know how else to get it through people's head, but politicians, please, when you're hearing it's about the kids, or it'll lead to smoking, or we have to get people away from these things, check some of the credentials. Find out who sponsors a lot of these groups. or whether they're reports or actually real reports, and who funded them. Find out just a little bit of detail. If you don't know, go to a vape store. They're used to being able to explain the differences. They'll tell you that, no, not everything is 100% safe. Nothing is. Even the Royal College of Physicians, everyone's heard that they're at least 95% safer. And that's at least. And that they haven't found anything dangerous out of it yet. But they figure, hey, long term, there might be something. But they don't see it going higher than 5%. So it's at least 95% safer. That's the normal pitch. But check behind when you're hearing it's about the kids. It's about the kids. It's not. The companies, your nicotine replacement therapy, FDA approved, Health Canada approved, medicinally stop smoking cessation device approved. They need vaping stopped because you can't take, and we're giving their 10 to 20% success rate, can't compete with a 70 to 80% and growing. While these continue to improve, hey, you might not get new ones in the States, but in Canada we still get them. And hopefully in the States you'll get back to the FDA will smarten up and realize how much money is saved in cost for healthcare services if people get off smoking, get to vaping. Anyhow, it's the flavors that stop us from going back. It's not just a case of, oh, it's cute, or, oh, it's appeal for a young market. It's not. The flavors are for smokers, so we don't go back to smoking. We want to stay as ex-smokers. Anyhow, that's it for tonight. Next week, we're going to cover a very, very big topic. We're going to look at it's for the kids, the youth, and the gateway bullshit market, and see if hopefully we can demystify and clear up some things for that. Give people some real information, both good and bad. It's not all good on our side. Most of it is, but there is good and bad. And Vape Distortion, we try and separate what's truth and what's fiction. So, hope to see you next week. Bye all.